this is the primal moment, dear Claudia, when the messenger tells all assembled what Oedipus did and how he mutilated himself. And it's a horrific moment, but I'd like to concentrate not only on the horror, but what made him do something so drastic. So with that in mind, let me concentrate on the part where we read, this is in 1268 and following, Oedipus tore from her clothing, that's the dead queen, those gold-worked brooches of hers with which she had ornamented herself, and holding them high with raised hand, he struck his own eyeballs. I should tell you that in Euripides' version of this primal scene, the brooch that she's wearing in her hair had also been used to pierce the feet of Oedipus, just to complicate things further. We don't have that in Sophocles, but anyway, it's with the brooch that held up the cosmos, the orderliness of the queen's hair, that he pierces his eyes. And then there's this horrific description of what he says, and how there's a shower of blood, and everything looks cosmic. It's as if it's not just the eye, the seeing power of Oedipus had been put out. It's as if the sun and daylight had disappeared for him by his own agency. And this can be related to the fact that he's the antagonist of Apollo, the god of solar intellectual energy. But I want to move ahead to 1282 and following, where the chorus meditates, their old prosperity was once true blessedness. And this is a meditation on the superficial meaning of Olbos, where you're well off and you're lucky, you're happy on the surface, but what is it to be really blessed? And then here's the word dikaios, justly so. But now on this day here, there's the groaning of lamentation, there's aberration. Here's our word ate again, which we've been tracking from hour 1 onward.
And do we want to be thinking about veering off course too here when we're
Absolutely,
talking about
because
straight?
ate is the ultimate veering, the ultimate derangement. It's one of the reasons I like that word, derangement, because it does convey the idea of going off the path. There's shame, death, everything. Now, since we've set this up, we ask ourselves, how does this horrific reaction of Oedipus to the reality of what he is, how could that lead to something quite so drastic as putting out his eyes? And I'd like to go back, thinking about that, to the way he's speaking all along. And you said something earlier that I'd love to come back to. Do you remember how you said that Oedipus is trying to speak like a citizen in a democracy, is trying to speak like a king who is the embodiment of society, but as you said, it's somehow off.
Yes. Can you talk about that?
And if you think of that wonderful way you said it, that it's off, that's something that's so cosmically off that when you realize that you're living a lie and you think you're a king and you're talking like a king, or you think you're going to be the prototype of what democracy is, like Theseus, where everything that Theseus does should be the way a high priest thinks and acts in the 5th century. If all that is a lie, if all that is not true, if all that is off, if everything is derangement, then your whole world collapses. And it's almost as if, because heroes are so self-reflexive, they say and do things that correspond to who they really are, and if you discover that you're not who you used to be, then this agency of doing something is really a cosmic agency. It's not just that Oedipus does something to himself with his own hand. It's that the world dictates that the sun that is his vision of daylight should be extinguished. So it is the ultimate tragedy, and that is why Aristotle was so fascinated with this drama, and so many others since Aristotle have looked at Oedipus Tyrannos as the best way to get introduced to the essence of tragedy.